Since so many of us are working from home or just having to stay at home, I wanted to give you some tips on being more micro-resilient in this time of dealing with the coronavirus. So one thing is exercise. It's really important to exercise. And in micro-resilience, we talk about exercise being a refocus for your brain. It not only helps you to stay strong, but it helps you with your mental powers if you're working from home, but also keeping your attitude positive. And if you're used to going to the gym and you can't do that anymore, there's lots of apps you can use. You can look on YouTube for exercise apps. You can look at all kinds of things. Get some recommendations from your friends too. You can also use exercise equipment if you have it at home. You can go running outside. I have a treadmill desk that I use, so sometimes I'm answering my emails while just walking slowly on my treadmill. I have an elliptical that I use. So use whatever you have and get that exercise. Don't let that fall off the edge, because it's going to make a difference for your attitude and for your brain power, especially if you're working at home. Taking deep belly breaths is one of the micro-resilience tips that we give you. We call it conscious relaxation reframe. That's a long word for breathing deeply from your belly, not in your chest. When you breathe in your chest, you can activate your fight or flight response. And we've got news channels and social media. We got lots of things right now causing us to be in fight or flight mode and having that reaction of fear. Breathing in your belly, deep in your belly, is calming. It actually reverses some of the hormonal effects that we get from fear and triggering that fight or flight reaction. And so stopping, you can do it while you're on the phone, you can do it while you're answering email, stopping just to take deep belly breaths. You can actually put your hand on your belly and make sure that you're breathing in your belly and not just in your chest, because it has a calming effect. It literally reverses some of that panic mode that we can get into. Relax your muscles at the same time. What happens when we get bad news and we hear all the statistics, we tense up our muscles and we start breathing shallowly, and it exacerbates that whole fear reaction. So you can counteract that, and it actually will relax your muscles, so you'll be less tired as well. So you'll be much better able to cope with everything. And I know some of us have our kids at home, they're not going to school, our schedules are upset, we might have multiple people working at home in the same spaces. And so having that calming effect is going to be so important. Try using reversing. And this is a simple idea, is take something that you're feeling, a limit or a boundary that you're feeling, and just flip it on its head. For example, you might be thinking, I'm stuck at home. I can't go out to restaurants. I can't go to stores. I can't go to work. I feel trapped. Flip the card over. We often ask people to write it on an index card and then flip the card over and write on the other side, I can do some things I've never had time for. So you might have more time to exercise because you're not commuting back and forth to work. You might have more time to write a story or do something that you like as a hobby. What do you have more time for? More time for connecting with family, more time for reading a book, something that you really like. But particularly if you can double down on finding your sense of purpose and finding what's meaningful for you and making sure you're doing some things that are enjoyable for you and nurture your spirit and make you feel good, and recognize that you have more time for that, not that you're trapped. Exercising that feeling of freedom to do something you really want to do is going to make you feel so much better. So virtually or literally flip the card over and write something on the other side about what you can do instead of what you can't do.